Welcome to your March edition of Cardano360, your monthly catch-up with the people and projects building out the Cardano ecosystem. Now, before we begin, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for all the latest Cardano content and news from the team here at IOG. Later in the show, we'll be checking in with Kevin, John and Nigel for a preview of the June Vasil hard fork. We'll also meet a new member of the team, Head of Ecosystem Growth Morgan Schofield, to find out more about Essential Cardano, a new site covering all things Cardano. And if you're into dogs and NFTs, you might want to stick around till the end for a bit of a special message. Well, with that slightly cryptic note, let's start with something a little more tangible: yield and liquidity. Now, earlier this week, Wave Financial announced a new fund, and I had an opportunity to catch up with IOG's Nick Nafak to learn more about this new program. Wave's CEO, David Seymour, and Ken Kadama from Emergo will also drop by to say a few words. So Nick, welcome. Now, as I understand it, this fund is ultimately about driving liquidity and supporting growth for DeFi on Cardano.
Yes, the objective of the fund is to help jumpstart the DeFi ecosystem by providing liquidity for a lot of dApps, specifically DEXs and lenders, to help bring total value locked, or TVL, on-chain to Cardano.
Perhaps you can explain what we mean by liquidity and why projects need it.
In early stages in DeFi ecosystems, it's important to enable a good user experience for things like swaps. So when there's adequate liquidity in a DEX or within a decentralized exchange, you need that to facilitate trading activity and to have trade executions happen in a timely manner for users. Liquidity is a pretty fundamental concept in finance. There needs to be an adequate amount of a given resource or a currency or a token in this particular case, or pairs of tokens more specifically. So in DeFi, there's often pairs of tokens that are set up with each other in a pool so that when trades occur, they can happen in a timely fashion, and they can literally help the liquidity providers gain a return on those assets. So as a liquidity provider, I put in a certain amount of an asset or a token, and I generally see rewards or return for doing so. And as a user who executes a swap, these balanced pools of assets are used to literally execute the mechanics of those swaps behind the scenes, and make trades go through and within a certain number of milliseconds often. And if you don't have enough liquidity, then those trades can't occur in that timely fashion, and essentially a lot of these exchanges will struggle to perform within a certain amount of time.
So Nick, we talk a lot about collaboration and partnership, and these being key to growth of the ecosystem. We'll hear from Ken from Emergo and also from David Seymour at Wave in a moment, but from an IOG perspective, what's the ultimate goal here?
From an IOG perspective, our goal is always to support our community, and dApp developers are number one in our community. And to demonstrate that they're number one, we are backing investment managers like Wave, and so are our partners in terms of Emergo. And this way we can not only provide very clear ways of supporting the ecosystem, but also generate initial activity and trading volume at certain key DEXs, and also within lenders as well, so that people who don't have access to certain types of lending can get access, which is our charter.
Hi, I'm David Seymour, founder and CEO of Wave Financial. Wave is an SEC-registered wealth and asset management platform. We are the managers of C-Fund, the early-stage ecosystem fund designed to support ADA-focused companies at the earliest stage. Now we're very excited to launch this new vehicle called the Wave ADA Yield Fund. The purpose of this fund is to support a lot of those same companies plus other ones that are building decentralized finance applications. So obviously when those companies need support the most is at the earliest stage when they're first launching, and that's what we're here for. Our goal is to fill up the TVL of those platforms, make sure there's a good user experience, the trade pairs are robust, there's always someone to trade against. So it's kind of a continuation of our support from C-Fund at the earliest stage. So this fund is already a 9-figure vehicle. It's going to continue to grow pretty rapidly, and we're really excited to be the managers here.
Hi everybody. 私エマーゴの CEO の小玉と申します。カルダノエコシステムの発展に非常に重要なこととして DeFi の成長があると考えています。今回 ADA ファンドを通じて流動性の向上だけではなく ビジネス面や技術面も全面的に支援することができるようになります。また私たちは、鎧というライトウォレットを通じてユーザーの流入を支援することができますし、エマーゴベンチャーズを通じて多くのパートナーシップに貢献することができるでしょう。エマーゴはカルダノのアーリーサポーターとして IOG や Waves と協力してDeFi の成長を後押ししたいと考えています。Thank you.
SingularityNET is merging artificial intelligence with blockchain technology through their AGIX token. Eric sat down with CEO Ben Goertzel to talk about bringing the token to Cardano with their AGIX to ADA ERC20 token converter launching on April the 18th. Now you can catch the conversation in full on YouTube right after this. But meanwhile, here's a clip.
So today we're joined by Ben Goertzel, the CEO of SingularityNET and one of the world's leading thinkers in artificial intelligence. So welcome to the show, Ben, and maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about what the intersection between blockchain technology and artificial intelligence actually is.
Blockchain and AI are both foundational technologies for the next few decades. They're both key parts of creating a beneficial technological singularity, which is really what I'm after with all of my science and engineering and other work. And I do think AI in a way is the foundational technology. I mean, if you can make a machine smarter than people and benevolently oriented toward people, then as I.J. Good said in 1965, like the first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make, right? So in a way, AI potentially trumps everything. On the other hand, how do you get to that AI that trumps everything, right? And one key aspect when one thinks about the advent of AI in the next years and decades is who owns the AI, who controls the AI, based on what set of inputs is the AI learning and evolving and developing. And this is really where blockchain comes in, because using blockchain as a foundation for AI allows AI to be controlled in a decentralized manner without any single point of failure, without any single point of control.
So where does the AGI token come into all of this for SingularityNET?
For the blockchain aspect, of course, we launched SingularityNET running on Ethereum pretty much because it was there. It was easier to work with Ethereum smart contracts than to build our own blockchain or to build on top of Bitcoin, which didn't have as mature of a smart contract framework. I was never incredibly happy with Ethereum. I mean, I love the Ethereum guys, and the philosophy of a world computer is kick-ass, right? But that Solidity is not a very advanced programming language. If you look at the modern theory of programming languages and computer science, and proof of work in the form that you have in Bitcoin or Ethereum didn't ever turn me on too much, just because of the, hastening the heat death of the universe unnecessarily, and the heat death of the planet as well, right? So when I saw Cardano emerging based on Haskell as a smart contract language, which is a fundamentally superior programming approach to Solidity, WebAssembly, and so forth, and without this legacy of proof of work to overcome either, it was very appealing to move the underlayer of SingularityNET onto Cardano.
Let's talk about the process for migrating from Ethereum to Cardano. What does that look like for you guys?
We're looking at putting the bulk of our effort in SingularityNET on the Cardano version of the platform rather than the legacy Ethereum version. So there's then a series of steps after that April 18th converter launch. So I mean, the next one will probably be staking of AGIX ADA tokens, just because it's a fairly straightforward thing to do. And the staking rewards we haven't worked out all the details, but will probably be more appealing than on the Ethereum version. So we'll be pulling more of the community who likes staking into the the ADA native asset community, then the bigger step after that will be porting the whole SingularityNET marketplace onto Cardano, and that's more of a technical step because we have some fairly sophisticated sort of multi-party escrow wallet system and so on in the platform. We need to get that all running in Plutus. Then the following step after that, which is even further in the future, I've been putting a bunch of time in the last few months into designing a new Cardano sidechain customized for AI, which is called Hypercycle.
Ben Goertzel, thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to literally all the things that you're coming out with soon.
And remember, if you want to check out that interview in full with Ben, the link is below. And you can also find out more about SingularityNET's latest music project. So it all started with a small but passionate community. And since 2017, we've grown into a fully fledged ecosystem of millions. Over the past few months, that growth has turned into something quite remarkable. Now, we recently hit something of a milestone with 4 million tokens surpassed. And a couple of weeks ago, our research identified around 500 projects building on Cardano. But we have a confession to make. We got it wrong. Because last week we did some further social sleuthing and a bit of deeper digging, and in fact we've revealed a whole new bunch of projects building on Cardano. We're now tracking nearly 900 projects, from DEXs and DeFi to, of course, our incredible CNFT community. It's incredible growth, and really we're only just getting started, but for newcomers, getting up to speed can be pretty daunting. There's some great sites out there like Cardano Q, Building on Cardano, Built on Cardano, Ada Pulse, and many more. But we wanted to do our bit and add to the options with the new Essential Cardano site, a natural evolution of the existing crowdsourced repo where developers and creators building on Cardano can log their project. From simple repo to rich directory with Cardano technical essentials and network updates. Here's Morgan Schofield, our new head of ecosystem growth, to walk us through how this community-centric site, now in closed beta, will enable seasoned Cardano pros and newcomers alike to learn more and to educate others on the ins and outs of our incredible ecosystem. Let's find out more.
Hi, it's great to be part of the 360 show and the team behind Essential Cardano. Essential Cardano is a community-driven living directory of resources built to showcase the incredible ecosystem building on Cardano. We built this to be the source of truth for you, the community, to rally around and to get access to the resources that will allow you to be the champions for the network and the future of the Cardano platform. It's important to note that this is not a competitor. We really want this to be built to feature and showcase the projects that you're already working on. If you are a community member building projects on the Cardano network, use this as an opportunity to showcase your projects, to elevate and illustrate what your team are working on. The ask here is really simple. We would love the community to come together and contribute to make this the living directory of vibrant resources it can be. Think of this like a wiki page for Cardano. And much like a wiki page, it takes the people and the community around it to build it into the valuable resource it can be. The types of formats and content that you can upload are videos, podcast audio, articles, developer resources. Really, the sky's the limit here. We built this to be an open source directory. So every time you do upload something, there's an opportunity for you to collaborate, to comment, to upvote, and to peer review what others in the community are talking about. This will start in beta mode. We'll be releasing the website in April for an open beta for the community to come and contribute to. The URL you should look out for is essentialcardano.io. Contributions will be visible on Twitter, and the hashtag that you should look out for is Essential Cardano or Building on Cardano. Now let's turn to a quick demo of the Cardano platform. This is what Essential Cardano will start looking like. This is the homepage, landing page. You'll be able to find any answers you're looking for about the Cardano project or the community around it. Much like a Reddit or a wiki, the most important thing is the community adding and contributing to the resource. To contribute to Essential Cardano is super easy. You just click on this big call to action, and it's as simple as 2 clicks. You can fill in the details of what you want to upload. And once you've submitted it, that will go to the community for review, peer review, and will be eventually published on the Essential Cardano platform. Thanks. It's been really great being part of the show. And feel free to add me on Twitter. My handle is MT Schofield, or just search my name, Morgan Schofield.
So keep an eye out for Essential Cardano, coming out of beta very soon. Meanwhile, you can subscribe to the new Essential Cardano newsletter for ecosystem updates, news and features right to your inbox. The link is below. Building a global financial operating system means scaling from millions to billions of users. Hydra will play an important part of that journey, with the first iteration of the protocol already on testnet and being rolled out this year. Let's hear the latest on progress from Hydra engineer Sebastien Nagel. Sebastien, welcome back to Cardano360. Now, you and the team have recently reached quite an important milestone.
That's correct. 1 or 2 weeks ago, we opened the first Hydra heads on the public Cardano testnet. So far, we have been using local development networks for testing and really tinkering with our Hydra node implementation. But this time we were targeting the public Cardano testnet, which is very important to test out the behavior on the network, which is very similar to the mainnet, as it has the same parameters, latency, and deployment model.
So, Sebastien, version 04 is an important new version, isn't it?
Yeah, just recently we cut the release 04, which is the first version which can talk to Cardano testnet, as it was the one we used for our hackathon when we actually connected the first time to the Cardano testnet. It is working, it is already usable, but it's tricky to use, right? So there's lots of things you would need to know, try out. It's a testnet after all. And so there is still some things you need to know, or for example, sometimes you cannot close a head or something like that. So this is the first version which can talk to the Cardano testnet, but will not be the last one, right? So we're already planning and working on the next version, 05, which will have noticeable improvements on, for example, handling rollbacks, which are not done right now. Of course, we need to do that. And this is one of the main things we're working on right now. And in overall, the next version, 05, will make it a bit easier to use, more robust to use even on the testnet, and increase the maturity and the robustness of the whole system as we go along.
So is there anything the community can do right now?
Release 04 came with new documentation. We even have a new website, which is coupled with that. And so head over to hydra.family, a domain name it couldn't pass. So we just use it for hosting the documentation for our work, for the work on the Hydra head protocol, noticeably. Instructions how to try it out, how to do the demo, set it up and use the Hydra node. And it will also contain, as we go along, more in details on the core concepts behind Hydra. It will contain information about deployment models and example use cases, maybe, how to use Hydra heads. And of course, technical details like the API reference can also be found there.
And going forwards, what's the next steps?
Of course, we keep on working on implementing the Hydra head protocol. There's more releases to come, as we should see by now that we try to aim on a frequent and regular release cadence. People are expecting a mainnet release of Hydra in June or October. This might happen, but I want to say something about it, really, that there is no de-release of Hydra. We had a couple versions before, and we'll have a couple of versions as we go along, becoming mature enough to handle transactions on the mainnet. So deploying Hydra is not really like flipping a switch and everything will be fast and cheap. It's more that we build a foundation, a piece of technology that the builders of Cardano can actually use and do use to create fast and cheap applications. So as we enable our users, which is the developers of Cardano and developers on Cardano, use Hydra and use Hydra head, you will see some use cases become a bit quicker, a bit cheaper to use, and this is how we basically will roll out Hydra over the next couple of months. Another thing I would like to address is quickly that there is no need for a hard fork for Hydra to be existing, so also means that Hydra is not part of the next hard fork. It will benefit greatly from the improvements what we'll get from the June hard fork and maybe potential improvements we get from the October hard fork. So Hydra heads will become more capable by having these benefits, but it's not strictly tied to it. So you will see releases of Hydra, the Hydra node, before, between, and after these hard forks.
So indeed, that's an important point, Sebastien. Now, if any folks watching this want to get more involved in the Hydra journey, what can they do?
As always, I would like to encourage the community and especially developers of our Cardano community to try out what we've built. Head over to the Hydra.family website. You will see communication channels in the bottom We would like to hear from your experience, from your successes, from your failures even, and improve on what we can do and how to basically add the things you need, learn from your requirements, and help basically scaling Cardano, make it more capable and ideally more adopted in the future.
Terra Virtua has been one of the pioneers in digital art, collectibles and virtual worlds in recent years, and coming next, Cardano, NFTs and the metaverse. Eric caught up with Terra Virtua CEO Jawad Ashraf to find out what's happening.
NFTs in the metaverse are critical areas for Cardano to expand into, and we are fortunate that we have quite a few community projects that are working in this area. Today, we're joined by CEO of Terra Virtua, Jawad Ashraf, to talk a little bit about Terra Virtua and how they're building the metaverse with NFTs on Cardano. Jawad, welcome to the show, and maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about the mission of Terra Virtua.
Hi, I'm Eric. Basically, the mission of Terra Virtua now is coming back to where we started. Back in 2017, we set up a metaverse in VR with NFTs, and realized back in 2018, no one understood what any of those things were. So essentially, we doubled down on NFTs and focused on being like a premier NFT platform, respecting IPs and working with AAA brands. Ultimately, our vision and our mission was to create a whole metaverse ecosystem, and NFTs, the digital assets, underpin all of those.
So why decide to build Terra Virtua, the metaverse, the whole ecosystem? Why decide to work with Cardano on this?
Basically, you look at the technology, you look at the vision of the people involved, and you look at the community as well. So all three factors play together. So when we started, we focused very much on Ethereum, but then we were looking at having like a really solid EVM partner, and generally, the team, the community, every aspect of Cardano just screamed to us that this is a great place to build. And so we basically collaborated at the last conference, and since then, we've been working hand in hand with Cardano in actually building out new technology layers that will actually help the whole NFT ecosystem become much, much more mass consumer friendly. Ultimately, the team are just really engaged in seeing and visionary, and metaverse is also something that Cardano is looking at quite heavily and has been part of the vision from day one. Here there's a vision with NFTs and the metaverse in mind. So for us, it's just a good fit.
Speaking of the last summit, we collaborated on something that involved the digital world that was created for the summit, and Terra Virtua was involved in this. Can you tell us about that project and where it is now?
So basically, we provide a series of NFTs. They were designed by Cardano themselves. Now, what was really interesting about this whole thing was because as we were moving our platform towards Cardano, we weren't there yet. So we already had NFTs which were based on Ethereum. We had some on Polygon. We went there, we participated in the conference, and then we did the first stage, which was allocate the assets to people with wallets. So they actually had them as digital assets, but they weren't true NFTs. What we were actually then going to do was mint them as NFTs and allow them to be usable and viewable in our 3D environments. So we have got metaverse environments we've already built, and also have them available, in the galleries, etc., etc. And what we've been doing right now for the last few months is actually making it so that they can be minted. They're already in people's inventories, but they can be minted as true NFTs. And then they can be moved in and out of Terra Virtua and everything else. But there was a whole bunch of things along the way that we discovered to make our platform compatible with Cardano. But we're at the point now where we should be able to, within a few weeks, have those assets minted out to users. And we came up with one approach, and then after talking to the team, we've actually making it so that people can actually self-mint their assets.
So with that being said, what else can we expect in the future from Terra Virtua?
Basically, to date, Terra Virtua, when we launched a year and a half ago, we launched a mobile application that did augmented reality, which allowed you to view NFTs. We had an NFT marketplace. And then also we had our metaverse environments. And that's the interesting thing about us, because if you look at the assets that we've made historically, we've collaborated with studios. You've got Mecha Godzilla, which is like over 1 million polygons. You've got Lost in Space. You've got Godfather. We created some really lovely 3D fully rigged assets. And that's where we're very, very different, because we were going to move towards a metaverse. And in fact, what we have online now, so there's a massive Terra Dome where you can walk around Godzilla and see Kong beating his chest, etc., and a smaller, more intimate space where you can put your artwork. These were taken out of a much, much wider environment. So right now we're going back to, and imminently, within a few months, you're going to see like whole metaverse spaces which are fully customizable with you're able to theme everything, bring NFTs from the outside, be able to scale assets and items, and have them run in uber high fidelity and WebGL. Because this was one of the learnings we had. You know, we had a desktop environment, but like when you do that and people want convenience, you lose out on users and you lose out on your community and you're not providing the utility you want. So we've been building two environments simultaneously which will live side by side. And that then follows on with the Terra Virtua space station. And then after that, we have got multiple worlds that will be released at the end of the year. We are actually building a universe with multiple planets. So yeah, lots to come.
Okay, so not only people being able to mint their own things, but creating a space station and a world and multiple other universes. Lots going on with Terra Virtua. How do they keep up with you? How do people stay involved?
Our new mobile application is going to be released within 2 weeks, and we have our Twitters and our Discords and everything else. But this is where we can see embracing the community, providing a lot of really interesting things to them, including real-time drops, real-time comms, and also allowing people to do very interesting things with assets. You know, more than just here it is, let's look at it and hope to speculate. The future of NFTs is utility, you know, doing things with the stuff you have. Like a good example right now is one of our partnerships with a company called Nitro, and you'll be able to use their NFT cars that you can get on Terra Virtua, which I expect to have a Cardano range, which are for Cardano community, and allow them to race the cars head to head. And if I lose against you, you get to keep my cars and sell the parts as NFTs.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are. So make sure to check out Terra Virtua. All of their information is going to be in the metadata below. Jawad, thanks so much for joining us on Cardano360.
So keep an eye out for more from Terra Virtua soon. And as I cryptically promised at the start of the show today, there'll be more NFT fun to follow at the end of today's 360 with a special greeting from someone you might know. So stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, the core development team behind the scenes continues to build Cardano itself. Now here's John, Kevin and Nigel to update us, including what's to be expected from June's Vasil hard fork. So John, Kevin, Nigel, welcome again. We're going to talk about the Vasil hard fork today, but before we do, Nigel, can you give us a little bit of an overview of the major release schedule and the philosophy behind that?
Sure, Tim. As you may recall, we've opted to concentrate efforts around 3 significant releases per year, and that's in February, June and October. This enables our product teams to focus on our core improvements, while we give the community plenty of lead time necessary to prepare for any significant changes and or a hard fork. And as our community grows, this becomes more and more important because a dApp company that's out there will want to take advantage of the improvements we're building, and they'll need lead time to be able to integrate that into their development cycles. While we'll still release smaller improvements throughout the year, developers should look to these 3 milestones as the benchmarks for what we've outlined in our ways to scale Cardano this year. In February, we didn't need a hard fork. Those are normally needed when we've got ledger changes. However, these updates do take us on the road towards the Vasil hard fork coming in June. And just to recap, here's what we did in February. We delivered the CDDL compatible transactions straight out of the CLI. We did the infrastructure changes necessary for incremental multi-signature. We put in a leadership schedule, a mempool transaction monitoring, and also our script cost estimation. But today, what we're going to talk about is the key Vasil components, and that's our Plutus version 2, our script collateral handling, and enhancements to our crypto primitives.
Thanks, Nigel. And indeed, let's dive straight into Plutus and Kevin. Now, Kevin, Plutus, of course, is a maturing smart contract language, still lots of enhancements and improvements to go. June, of course, is going to bring some significant ones.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. So these are just the first of many improvements that we're going to be rolling out to Plutus. And for Vasil in June, there are going to be 4 key areas that we're focusing on. The first one will be reference scripts. What these are on-chain, pre-recorded, if you like, scripts that we can then refer to from other transactions. And what that means is that we'll be able to reduce the size of the transactions that use the scripts. And as I said, we'll also be able to get reuse of existing code. So a great improvement for dApp developers. The second thing we're rolling out is reference inputs. With reference inputs, what you can do is you can refer to an input in from within a script without consuming it. And what that does is to allow many scripts to refer to the same input at the same time. That improves our concurrency. You can do many things simultaneously using the same input. So great improvement to throughput from that. The third thing are inline datums. And what inline datums do is they make it easier for developers to refer to simple inputs. So we don't have to use hashes for inputs, for example. We can just refer to them directly. Makes it easier for users and developers to see the input. So 3 great improvements. These are covered by various CIPs that we've put forward to the community that have been commented on by various experts. CIP 33 reference scripts, CIP 31 reference inputs, CIP 32 inline datums. And the final thing that we're going to be rolling out are redeemers in transaction information. And what this does is to let scripts cooperate by using a shared redeemer. So 4 great improvements there.
Now, John, crypto primitives, we're not talking about some of the people we meet on crypto Twitter every day, I assume there.
Yeah, not this time, Tim. Not this time. We use a lot of really cool crypto in Cardano. In fact, state of the art. And maybe another time I could talk about the elliptic curve primitives we use, because we use this primitive called ED25519, and it's state of the art in terms of digital signatures. Super cool. Today, I want to just focus on a change we've made around the VRF. Now, VRF is another cryptographic primitive, and when I say primitive, it's like little Lego bricks, little building blocks that we build more complicated systems from. So the VRF stands for a verifiable random function. And normally, when you're signing something, you pass in the message you're signing and the secret key, and then it goes through an algorithm and you get a signature out. Okay, that signature can be verified by people, and that's I think fairly well understood by most folks. The VRF is a little bit different. You put in a secret key. Okay, so you need a secret. You still need a private key, but you also put in a kind of a random seed, a piece of random data, and during the algorithm, rather than get a signature out, you actually get out what we call a proof and another random output. And this random output is actually indistinguishable from complete random noise. And anyway, I just thought I'd give it a kind of an insight into how the VRF works. And it's basically something that takes the seed and the secret and produces a proof and an output. But we use this for our deterministic leadership schedule. So it's a very important aspect of how we decide who's going to mint a block next. Anyway, it's expensive. So with all these kind of cryptographic primitives, the math tends to be quite heavy. They're expensive for computers to basically calculate. So we were using this twice, and now we've reduced that. We've now managed to kind of, during the block propagation process, rather than having 2 VRF runs, two calculations, we now only have 1. So by doing this, we're removing redundancy. We're, again, doing less work during our validation and propagation of the block. And this is all good news. Now, the thing is, whenever you remove something like that's so technical like this, you got to be very careful how you surgically slice it out. Make sure that we truly don't need it. But we've done this in a way where we're faster, quicker, better, but at the same time, just as secure, just as deterministic as we were before.
Thank you, John. Script collateral adjustment is the next thing that we're going to cover. Kevin, perhaps you can take that one.
When we're executing a Plutus smart contract, what we do is we have a 2-phase validation process. And in the first phase, a script is executed offline. We check that it's going to succeed. And only if it goes through the first phase of validation do we then put it forward for execution actually on the chain. So that's the second phase of validation. Now, what we don't want is to have scripts executing on chain that haven't been paid for. So we require users to put up a collateral to cover the cost of executing the script. And if the second phase fails, then the collateral is lost. So this means that if you deliberately submit a transaction on the chain that you know is going to fail, you've always had the chance to check that through the first phase, then you're going to pay the collateral cost for executing the script. And that way you can't attack the chain by submitting a huge number of failing scripts and not having to pay for them. So with the current collateral mechanism, what happens is you put up an input, an ADA input, and if the transaction fails to execute, then all of the collateral is lost, and there's a minimum value associated with that, which is greater than the cost of actually executing the script. There's really no incentive to try to attack the chain this way. What we've done is to make a few improvements that will help DApp users who realise that this process, whilst it's quite effective, is perhaps a bit draconian, doesn't quite meet all of the user needs that we're seeing from DApp developers. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to adjust collateral so that it's the exact required amount, and then the end user never risks more collateral than they need to. So you can put up a million ADA. I know you're a whale, Tim, perhaps. So you put up your million ADA, and in the old system, if you deliberately submitted a transaction that failed, you would have lost your million ADA. Now, that's a bit tough. Now, if you do it, you'll be losing much less ADA. It'll be some percentage of the actual script execution cost, so a few ADA instead. So that should make you much happier. You won't be risking your pot as collateral all the time. The rest goes into a new change address, so you can specify where the change goes to.
And of course, Kevin, that's not the only improvement, is it?
No, absolutely not. So several improvements coming from this same draft CIP. The first of which is that you're no longer going to be restricted to ADA-only tokens, will allow you to use non-ADA tokens, where a lot of dApp developers, they keep ADA and non-ADA within the same UTXO. So this can make it much easier, much simpler for dApp developers to use this mechanism. And the second improvement is that this process is going to work much better with hardware wallets. Hardware wallets will know that the transaction will succeed. There'll be ways to check that, and that will give script users much more confidence and certainty in the use of Plutus scripts with collateral.
Thank you, Kevin. And of course, if you want to check out the SIP process and some of those SIPs that are in flight at the moment, we'll put a link in the notes below. So John, aside these Plutus improvements, there's obviously going to be some continuing work on the network. Perhaps you want to tell us more about that.
Absolutely, Tim. So yeah, we're going to be making large changes this summer when we roll out pipelining. I know there was a blog that was out there by one of our distinguished researchers, Matthias Fitzi. I wanted to give people a little bit of insight because I think that blog was quite technical, and when people read it, maybe it's not clear exactly what we're delivering. So I want to try to clear up any misconceptions out there around this. So whenever we're rolling out stuff like this, it starts, the seed starts with research. They spend all day thinking about this kind of stuff and coming up with different models, and it's all very academic at that point. There's no code. It's more thought and process. And then we kind of, as these things take shape, these enhancements they make, whether it's pipelining or otherwise, as it takes shape, it becomes more concrete, more real, more tangible, and we think, okay, yeah, this is something we can actually make a change to, and it'll have real impact for the system. That process then goes to folks like me in the architecture section, and I will take the research input. That's my job to take that and turn it into a more tangible specification. We call it an engineering spec or an architectural spec. And then indeed it goes to the guys who do the actual work, the engineers, and they take my work and then they write the code, and that's how we do it. And I think folks who maybe read Matthias's blog, he's speaking from a very academic standpoint. So what we've been calling pipelining on this show is really about getting the blocks transmitted faster to your neighbor. And I've discussed that before, because the faster the blocks can transmit, the more kind of headroom we have to increase network parameters, make things faster, bigger, better. When Matthias is thinking about this, he's not thinking about the downstream impact. He's very focused on all of the different variants of pipelining that you can have. So you might have heard words like pipelining, diffusion pipelining, asynchronous validation, delayed validation. They're all different flavors of the same idea, which is to bring together the process of validating a block whilst you're also communicating and transmitting the data as fast as possible. Now, when we're selecting which one of the brilliant ideas our research geniuses come up with, we have to do so with a pragmatic hat on, because we have to say to ourselves, well, this version, asynchronous validation, maybe it's a little bit faster, but it's more dangerous and it needs more time. So we've chosen what we're calling diffusion pipelining, okay, and that's why I call it pipelining on this show, which we feel as a sweet spot, which will deliver plenty of headroom for amazing changes to come for the rest of the year. So we may go back and look at other things like asynchronous validation and other things that lead to even higher throughput. But you got to remember, we are already ahead in terms of our performance roadmap as where we wanted to be. Our block utilization is still not at 100%. We have big changes coming in June that's going to let us really ramp up the network parameters and increase block size and speed. And yeah, then on top of that, just compounding all of this, we may never end up doing a different variant of pipelining, because actually I believe what we're going to bring in June is going to be the sweet spot and it will be enough. And then we're going to be moving to input endorsers, which is a radically different way of doing consensus and doing block propagation. And we can talk about that in detail another time. Effectively, you have ranking blocks and input blocks, and it's all quite sophisticated. But I think pipelining in the way we're bringing it in June is going to give us headroom until input endorsers comes, which is effectively an end game solution that will see us scale out for the next 5 years.
Thank you, John, for that overview. Nigel, so work continues apace on preparing for the June Vasil hard fork. But of course, October is coming down the line and it'll arrive sooner than we think. That's going to be called the Chang hard fork as well. A few bits and pieces being worked on right now. What's the update there?
Of course, Tim. Our team is starting to plan for the Chang hard fork in October. And while the full scope is still in development, which will change over the coming weeks and months, we definitely know certain things that are going to be in the pipeline for October. And our community can look forward to seeing these and more about these in the near future. We've got changes in the area of governance. We've got more smart contract evolution. We've got more changes and improvements to performance. And of course, that's just the core development. As we've shared previously, we've got also lots of other exciting things coming in the pipeline, from light wallets to sidechains.
Thank you, Nigel. So I hope, as you can see, a huge amount of work going on for June, and we're also thinking ahead to October already. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Another great update from the team there. Now let's check out some of the projects building on Cardano: Wingriders, JPGstore, Iagon, and Typhon Wallet.
This week I got a chance to speak with some of the teams building on Cardano. We spoke with JPGstore, Typhon Wallet, Iagon, and Wingriders. So tell us, what is your mission and how is it different from other pre-existing solutions on the market?
My name's Liam. I'm from a project called Wingriders. We're building a decentralized exchange on Cardano. We're powered by Vacuum Labs, which means we come from one of the longest working development shops in the space overall. Longer term, our mission is really to be a layer of the infrastructure in Cardano. You know, dApps and other platforms or projects that are building on Cardano are going to require someone who can do swaps for them very securely and safely and can integrate really deeply into their platforms. So that's who we want to be.
So we're JPGstore. We're the largest NFT marketplace on Cardano. And our mission is really to grow Cardano and bring as much users as we can into our ecosystem. We're a fun, vibrant, funky NFT marketplace, and we're bringing lots of exciting new features to our platform, such as offers, auctions, trading, profiles.
We also have a launch pad for creators. We're really trying to bring more creators into the space and make it as easy as possible for them to create on Cardano. When we launched, we were also, I think, the first NFT marketplace on Cardano fully integrated with royalties. So working with creators and supporting them has really been a big mission for us since the beginning.
Iagon's mission is to create a decentralized cloud computing marketplace, enabling us to contribute to and make use of secure, private, self-sovereign cloud platform. Our fall sharding algorithm and sharding mechanism distribution model, based on the behavior of our resource providers, enables us to store files in nodes that fit their requirements. This goes in hand, such as for GDPR compliance, if you want to be a green, eco-friendly project, green energy use, and high performance, etc.
We at Typhon Wallet are positioning ourselves from our ground zero approach of development. The core libraries that are used by wallets for generating Cardano key pairs, signing transactions are built from ground zero in pure JavaScript by our developers. And we are addressing the gap in the ecosystem by giving features to the users, which are not available in some of the wallets or were not available earlier when we launched Typhon wallet. Things like attaching metadata to a transaction and allowing users to send multiple tokens in a transaction.
What are the advantages of building on Cardano? Why are you in Cardano as opposed to any other ecosystem?
There's really two pieces. The first piece is the functional approach in programming languages on Cardano, right? It very much makes a difference. And the second piece is the whole sort of philosophy behind Cardano to move a little bit slower and maybe consider problems from a little bit more of a strategic level. Makes sense, right? If you look over the last 12 months, there's more and more people building on Cardano, and I think largely it's driven by those two reasons, the functional aspect and the kind of long-term, more considered approach to development of the space.
I think one of the best things about the Cardano ecosystem is the community. From the beginning, we've had so much support and love from the people inside Cardano. And I think anyone who's trying to build something unique and interesting for our ecosystem is going to get the same type of support. The reason why we chose to build on Cardano in the first place is just because of the vision and the mission behind the blockchain. We really resonated with Cardano's fully decentralized, like the people's blockchain. We love what they're doing in Africa.
Cardano is really focused on real-world applications. I think it can bring a lot more people on board with the technology and into the ecosystem in general.
Yeah, we see Cardano being the blockchain that's truly going to take crypto to mass market.
Yeah, we can talk for Cardano a lot. I mean, it could go on a long time, but I'll just list a few points there that stand out the most. It's security, decentralization, which kind of go hand in hand. Research-driven approach, building up, studying the models before they actually implement the code. Capital efficiency, ecosystem, and future potential, which is in Africa, empowering people that don't have that capacity, right?
We are into Cardano from 2017, and I'm a computer science graduate, so I love technology, and Cardano's technology is what brought me into the ecosystem. So, and we actually built Cardano Scan, the Explorer, earlier, and then we started building Typhon wallet. So our love with Cardano is the technology, the technical foundation of Cardano. And then when the Catalyst launched, it provided us a great platform to fund our work. And then we went fully independent, and now we are working fully independent into Cardano ecosystem, and we are really happy about it.
So how's it going? What stage are you at now?
So we've put out our test nets. We're moving to mainnet in about a week to 7 days. We've gone through a security audit by Certic, which was finished, and we put a blog post out about a week ago. We're doing just our final security testing with our own dev team. And once we're through that, we'll move to mainnet, and then we'll sort of make more announcements. But yeah, our plan is to get this done pretty quick. We're integrated with a bunch of different wallets, Flint, CC Vault, Nami, and then NewFi as well.
So we're fully launched. Like we said earlier, we are the largest NFT marketplace on Cardano, and we've held that position for 3 months. But we're now at a stage where we're profitable and we're hiring rapidly. So we're looking for engineers, community managers, marketers, the best talent we can get inside of the ecosystem to really help take our marketplace to the next level and start competing with the other blockchains head on.
We've basically refactored the entire code base and migrated our database, which just went live a couple days ago. So now we're going to switch and focus on really pushing out new features a lot faster. There's a lot of core functionality we still want to get down, like auctions and offers, but there's also a lot of just new things we want to bring to the ecosystem and do, like find new ways to create features that'll be interesting for users.
We're focusing first on setting up the marketplace, the reward scheme, and required infrastructure around the shared storage economy. At the moment, we're working on porting MVP. We presented to some of our partners in Cardano and also in the traditional space. And we'll continue our testing on the UI UX. We're planning audits following the community testing and thorough testing phase prior to public launch. We just recently released information on our ERC20 bridge, which integrates Nomad and Milkomeda in a very easy to use front end, allowing users and projects to migrate from ERC20 to Cardano native tokens.
Typhon wallet is at a development stage, which is stable. We are enhancing the features that we have already developed. We are improving the user interface. We have recently redesigned the full wallet from scratch. It's a new interface. We introduced dark mode, and now we are venturing into other platforms like mobile and desktop.
So to launch and to find staying power are two different things. Post-launch, what are a few crucial milestones on the path to you guys becoming a permanent part of this ecosystem?
Crypto, as a general rule, tends to lean on that first part, right? Attracting as much attention as possible in the beginning and then trying to execute later. We're very different. We're developer-led, by being associated with Vacuum Labs, who are very strong on the development side. We're really trying to build a product before we sort of progress to any level where we're trying to shill our product. Like, everyone's going to be able to get on the testnet and use it, right? That's very much aligned with our ethos. So we think people seeing the product, seeing our roadmap, seeing the functionality and improvements we're looking at over time, our roadmap's really built out. We're adding more wallets. We've got more features. We've got staking and yield farming both coming. So all of these things, I think, delivering like a constant supply of new features and functionality, listening to community, and then really addressing any issues and shortcomings you have, I think that makes you more sustainable.
Sticking power. Again, our mission now that we're number one is to really start bringing more users to Cardano and growing the ecosystem. So we're trying to find new artists and creators to partner up with, as well as supporting the incredible existing ones that have already built collections here on Cardano.
We can also grow our launchpad more. We're looking to hire a launchpad manager there, and I think there's a lot of documentation that we can create to help people with the minting process. Get more resources out there to make it easier for people to create and bring more of top artists into the ecosystem.
Achieving proper decentralization and sufficient node coverage to offer secure GDPR compliance are important steps towards delivering on potential of our solution. In addition, key partnerships such as our joint venture program with Genius Shield and our expansion to our NFT repetition model are important milestones in our launch. In addition to development of our public storage social platform called Agora.
After we launched the wallet, we want to continue to build this wallet and continue to upgrade as and when the Cardano upgrades hard forks into new era. We have so many hard forks planned for this year. It's going to be next year. So we are not stopping here. We are thriving to build out lot features into the wallet. One more thing to mention, we also launched Tap Connector a while ago. So it's a unique approach, again, from the CIP, and we are also building out more and more features and documentation around the Tap Connector for Typhon.
How do you see your project niche developing on Cardano and in the wider industry over the long term? And what problems do you feel that your project is uniquely positioned to address?
Let me start with the second part first. So, I think the first part is if you're not building, I've been in crypto about 6-7 years. If you're not really building effectively with a good development team, then essentially in this industry, you're just marketing, right? Like, you're leveraging someone else's product to package it together with some sort of concept. We're at the other end of the spectrum. Like, we are backed by a very, very strong development team. That's the way, we didn't come out of stealth until we're 100% sure that we could execute on what we're trying to execute. We tend to be probably more risk averse than other projects. We speak pretty regularly about how we're structuring our product, how we're approaching DeFi and those types of opportunities. We talk to our compliance team, we talk to our legal advisors, right? So we're trying to obviously build a project that's sustainable so all of our users can use us for a long time to come.
We're planning to incorporate JPGstore as a B corporation where a portion of our company's profits will actually go towards environmental and social causes. And this is something we're really passionate about. We think we can build a company that is truly different and focused on our community and Cardano and gives back rather than just extracting. And we hope that this will pave the way for future entrepreneurs to follow in our footsteps.
We're uniquely positioned to provide decentralized compute resources to projects wanting to build truly user-sovereign applications, and believe we can make a positive contribution to the development that's taking place in the third world countries, similar to what Cardano is doing, where possible through partnerships where we can contribute to these countries that are in need. We also think we will solve a bigger barrier in adoption and migration from traditional space to the blockchain space by providing an easy to use, clean interface.
We are in the ecosystem from a long time, and we were observing that there's so many features that Cardano has that were not being taken advantage of by the wallet providers. The users were becoming so much. It's like the users, when see a wallet interface, they see, okay, this is what Cardano does, but Cardano provides a lot more functionality. So that's where we came in the picture, providing so many features that were not available with existing wallets, but Cardano as a backend technology does provide it. This was one of the main features. We provided a simple interface for users to send transaction and add a message along with it, and any type of message, any kind of complex message, not just a text message, but like a JSON, like a metadata for a token. You could attach anything. And there was another unique feature of Cardano was an ability to send not just one token, but more than that, hundreds of tokens along with the transaction. That's the main goal. That's the goal that we started building Typhon wallet with, allowing users to utilize the core Cardano technology.
Thank you for joining us on the show today, and thank you to the audience for joining us also. Tune in next time for more.
And of course, additional kudos to Wingriders there for their recent support of the MinSwap team. This community is as much a part of what makes Cardano as special as the tech. Now remember, DeFi is exciting, but we're early. Be careful out there. So that's nearly a wrap for March. Before we go, a shout out to the team at DC Spark, who this week launched the Milkomeda sidechain, an important new step in Cardano's interoperability journey.
Hi guys, this is Nico, core developer of Milkomeda. For the ones that don't know about Milkomeda, we just launched. Things are looking pretty good. Milkomeda is this sidechain for Cardano that allows for Ethereum dApps to be launched on this sidechain, which is pretty cool because you can use ADA for everything that's related to these Ethereum dApps. Things are looking pretty well, and I'm very excited to eventually join the show and tell you more about what's going on.
We'll have the team on soon to tell us how it's all been going. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you do the like, subscribe and bell thing. Lots of links below for you to check out after, including that interview with Ben, the IHK blog for more on Cardano and the growing ecosystem. And of course, if you want to subscribe to that new Essential Cardano newsletter, you'll find the links below there too. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the next 360 show at the end of April. That's the 28th. Till then, let's play out with this.
Hey champ, I've been checking out that Cardano, and this Web3 stuff is exciting to me.
Yeah, they got some cool claymations too.
Oh shit, that's my music.
Hey Snoop, it's Charles Hoskinson here. I'm trying to get in contact with you, man. Call me sometime.
Let's hook it up.